Focal Point with Brian Fisher. Video segments of today's program will be posted at afr.net and on the Focal Point Facebook page. You'll also find the best collection of Brian's resources on our Facebook page. If you're on Twitter, you can be among the first every morning to find out what today's show will be about. Just follow Brian at Brian J. Fisher.
I need to apologize to Brian Fisher for being a lot better looking than he is. I'm sure you've noticed there's been a bit of an upgrade on the video feed. And it's not just HD, baby. I'm just kidding. Hey, listen, if a guy's going to walk out and give you his microphone all across the country on a couple of hundred radio stations, I mean, it's kind of a violation of the dude code if I don't ding him at least one time on his own show, isn't it? It's kind of, I mean, it's just sort of expected. You know, I mean, it's just, it's honor among guys. When you hand another guy your remote, I mean, there's just certain things you don't typically give another dude. You don't give him your remote, right? You don't give him the keys to your car, and you don't give him your radio show.
I've also noticed you don't leave your Facebook profiles logged in around him. You never know what you are going to say about yourself online.
That's very true. That's very true. So we want to thank Brian for taking a day off and giving us a chance to talk to you guys around the country here today. Also want to thank the guests you've heard earlier today, Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal, Texas Senator Ted Cruz. And if you liked the idea of signing up, and it just takes a signature, signing up for an effort that says, enough. We absolutely cannot allow the ruling class in either party to destroy us. We cannot allow any more establishment hijinks, no more Karl Rove whiteboards. We've got to have somebody who clearly understands, a son of Issachar, if you will, somebody who understands the times and what to do about them. That's the kind of leadership we have to have. Well, let me tell you how we get there, folks. There's only one way we're going to get there. There's a reason Ronald Reagan is the only movement conservative that has ever won a national primary. The only one. And the reason he did it is he had a comprehensive worldview that allowed him to unite the various factions right of center. Aspects of libertarianism, aspects of social conservatives, aspects of pro-growth economic conservatives, national defense conservatives. He had a comprehensive worldview. You hear some of those quotes here when Brian introduces the show every day. He puts that comprehensive worldview on display. So when you have someone that has a comprehensive worldview, they are able to address multiple topics and multiple people groups with integrity. It doesn't come across as pandering. They can speak capably about a myriad of subjects. And what's happened here is we really haven't had that kind of person. We've had some that were maybe good on a few things, great on some other things, not so good at some other things. And don't tell me you weren't one of those people, because I heard from a million of you in this last primary cycle who said, man, in fact, I even wrote a piece for townhall.com announcing my endorsement of, I think it was Hute Bakporum. It was an amalgamation of all the names running for the Republican nomination. Because what I heard from people all the time was, I wish I could take this from that person and that from this person and this from that person, put them all together. Now we got a candidate. Why? It's because when someone addresses a couple of issues that are important to you, that's your priority. That hits your sweet spot. May not be somebody else's priority. And so they go for somebody else. We splinter. Establishment candidate walks in, wins a bunch of weak primary victories, like McCain won in South Carolina in 2008, thanks to his buddy Fred Thompson, or Mitt Romney won in Ohio and Michigan in 2012 by winning 5 hugely Democrat counties that he turned around and got killed in the general election last fall. The only way I believe we can beat the establishment in a national primary is there has to be a coalescing behind someone that has a comprehensive worldview. And I'll give you an example of what that means. Somebody that can walk in and speak with integrity off the cuff because they own it. Oh, not a moral view, a worldview where they internalize it. They can apply it to a plethora of topics. And they can walk into the offices in Tupelo, Mississippi of the American Family Association. Or they can walk into the offices of the Family Research Council and then on the same day go speak to Freedom Works and the limited government libertarians at a group like that. The same day they could walk out of those offices and go speak to the Club for Growth. The only way we're going to be able to beat the establishment and not blow another general election, because we know establishment candidates never win. Ask President Dole, President Romney, President McCain, the second term of George Herbert Walker Bush and Gerald Ford. They don't win. George W. Bush won 2 elections by appealing to enough conservatives. And he wouldn't have been reelected in 2004 if there wasn't a marriage amendment on the ballot in Ohio. That drove up his base, and that was the state that gave him the presidency. So we know establishment candidates don't win. We know. There's a proven track record of that. I wrote a whole column for Politico that Karl Rove would probably prefer doesn't exist. It just can't happen. They don't win, ever. Obama won this last election by driving out his base. Romney lost despite winning independents in Michigan, Virginia, Colorado, and Ohio. He won independents in those key battleground states, lost them all. Why? The base turnout was much, much more in favor of Democrats than Republicans. That's why he lost. He would have needed 72% of the Hispanic vote to overcome the loss of that base. So to get that person, he's got to be able to unite enough of these factions. Otherwise, we'll splinter 3 or 4 different ways, and the next establishment hack will waltz in, tiptoeing through the raindrops, protected by the liberal media who knows, hey, we'll protect this person in your primary because we know if he wins the general election, he's really no threat to us. So you've got to find somebody who has that comprehensive worldview that can unite all of those factions, at least enough of them, so they can get a plurality to win the nomination. That's the only way you can beat the establishment in a national primary. If you agree with that, if you want to take part in an effort to rally around that person, leadorgetoutoftheway.com, that's our website. We want to be able to show, because I do all kinds of interviews with mainstream media all the time. And the way they frame questions instantly come from a secular bias. A lot of people think the media is liberal because, or the number one bias in the media is it's liberal. No, the media's liberal bias comes from what really drives them. They're secular. What Bobby Jindal said earlier, that they look at us like we're a strange experiment gone awry, is true. I've had mainstream media people when I've been on set look at me like, wow, you people exist. I get to observe you in your natural habitat. Who knew? They only told me these people existed in college. Right? Because where most of these people hang out, New York, Washington, D.C., there's not a lot of people like us. All right, they don't get to places like Tupelo, Mississippi a lot, or Bossier City, Louisiana. They're not hanging out there. Half the time when they come to Des Moines, Iowa, where I live for the caucuses, all I hear them do is complain that they're not in New York, Washington, D.C., or L.A. They'd like Nevada to be the first in the nation caucus state, so they can go to Vegas in January. That's how these people roll. So they don't understand, and the way they frame questions, it's intended to it's push polling, essentially. It's intended to shape the question to get the answer that they want. And this is the pressure that our people, quote unquote, sometimes I think you and I wonder who our people are anymore. It's tough to tell. We thought Marco Rubio was our people last year. Now he's doing Rubio Care Scamnesty, a $6.3 trillion Democrat Party voter drive. I had somebody in the Washington Post ask me if Rubio sponsoring pro-life legislation was going to make up for him being the face of scamnesty. I said, absolutely not. They said, why? I said, listen, you can be as pro-life as you want. You take part in an effort to register millions of more anti-life voters. It's a moot point. It's a moot point. I mean, you can be as pro-life as you want, but if you take part in an effort that is a voter drive for the anti-life party, it doesn't really matter. It's sound and fury, signifying nothing. The fruit there is rotten. Curse that fig tree. So if you agree with this, and we need to, don't tell me, oh, Steve, it's too early. No, it's not. Because let me tell you something. Karl Rove and the establishment started planning what they were going to do in 2016 about 3 seconds after Rove finally admitted on Fox News Romney lost. Here's what I've seen a million times, because I've been heavily involved in the last 2 Iowa caucus cycles, and I've seen this process up close and personal. I know a lot of these candidates by their first name because of where I live, and their staffers by their first names. How do you think we got Bobby Jindal and Ted Cruz on this show on short notice? So let me tell you what I've seen a million times. We wait, and then it's, oh, snap, the primary's next week. What do? and 15 of your buddies vote for one guy and 15 vote for another and 15 vote for the other guy. I've done this. Been there, done that, bought the T-shirt. I've made this mistake. Divide and conquer is the oldest strategy in warfare. The only way you're going to get a true American exceptionalism-loving patriot in the Oval Office in 2016 is to find a candidate that has a comprehensive worldview and who's viable. What do I mean by viable? Meaning they're competent. They can raise money. They can inspire people to volunteer for them. They have a message that they can hone and communicate. That's their job. They have to be able to do that. A lot of you, I'm sure listening to this, know a lot more about the Bible than I do. Can you do this, though, behind a microphone? That's the job. The job isn't Bible philosophy. The job is radio broadcasting with a Bible philosophy. All right? Sometimes we forget and put first things last. So the job of that candidate is to prove I'm viable. I'm competent. I can inspire people to support me. I can inspire people. I can motivate them to want to volunteer for me, to cut me money. It doesn't mean they have to cut me millions of dollars, but they even see enough that the widow's mite, that widow cuts me that last bit of mite that she has. She says, hey, I've only got $5, but I so believe in you, I'm sending it to you. That's how they prove they're viable. I have a message. I can apply what I believe. I can take a set of beliefs and values and apply it into a message that resonates with people, solutions that improve people's lives. So unless a candidate that has proven their viability has a comprehensive worldview that can unite enough of the various factions within movement conservatism and some aspects of libertarianism, we cannot beat the establishment in a primary. That has been proven now. We can't do it. So what we've got to do is find that candidate and then coalesce behind that candidate. Otherwise, say hi to Hillary Clinton in 2016. That's the only option. So if you agree with us, add your name to our petition at leadorgetoutoftheway.com. Volunteer for an effort to say, we cannot afford this again. We can't afford another establishment hack. We can't send another establishment hack to do a patriotic conservative's job ever again, not with the country on the brink. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show with an uplifting story about what the most devastating weapon in a culture war really is. And sometimes we forget about it. Stay tuned.